The Wi-Fi DK Legend here, and welcome to Some Assemble Required Part 1. This multi-part series will be a fully comprehensive Captain America guide and Marvel Rivals, delivered by me, the Wi-Fi DK Legend. For context, I'm a Grandmaster Captain America main, and have explored the character on every map and in every matchup, which will be explored in the series. This video itself will focus on all of Cap's movement abilities and how to utilize them efficiently and effectively. Cap has an extremely unique movement set, and for me, it felt awkward and different for a long time before I got the hang of it. That said, I recommend watching this video if you are considering picking up Cap, if you are new to Cap, or if you feel like you could improve your Cap with a little bit of movement advice. We'll be going ability by ability with other miscellaneous tips at the end. It is important to note that your comfort with Cap's movement options and tech will directly affect your survivability and therefore your ability to be valuable in a match. The more uptime you have disrupting the enemy team, the more value you have in disruption, damage blocked, and even kills. This is because fractions of a second are the difference between death and surviving with 50 HP. So the ins and outs of these movement abilities are worth familiarizing yourself with and practicing. Left shift / sprint, I don't know what button it is on console, is Cap's most important movement tool, and luckily is generally quite simple, but it does have considerations that are worth mentioning. On a simple level, holding left shift allows you to sprint with no limit or cooldown and perform super jumps. Super jumps occur when you jump while holding left shift. They make you go super high and retain full momentum, but they restrict your ability to redirect your jump more than usual Marvel Rivals physics. Generally when you jump, you have omnidirectional movement in the air to move left, right, backwards, stuff like that. But when you super jump, that is much harder to do. To see what I mean, try to perform a super jump and then try to fade backwards. At best, you can stay in place and still move forward a little bit. This is especially important to consider when you need to hit specific precise jumps like this rollout I will show you on the first point on Spider Islands. You won't be able to correct your jumps unless you're completely facing a different direction, so practice is necessary to move quickly if you want to still look where you're trying to jump. You can also hold your shield up while using left shift, but you'll only be able to move in a generally forward direction. You can tilt it left and right, and angle it, but you can't run backwards. This means if you want to shield and move backwards, that you need to release sprint. You'll have to get used to generally holding left shift during most of your gameplay, which is different than most characters. Some would recommend swapping left shift to toggle, but I don't. This is because it makes it more difficult to pull off precise jumps that require quick holding and releasing of left shift to alternate between jumps and super jumps. You want seamless transitions like this to be in your muscle memory for smooth movement in tight spaces. For more smooth movement, it is important to note that Cap can activate his left shift while in the air, even if he didn't jump off the ground with left shift. This could cut down time to a second jump or just ensure sprinting as soon as possible once back on the ground. Bunny hopping is also an important option for Cap to utilize. This is when Cap activates left shift and super jump at the same time without trying to sequence left shift into jump in a row, which takes a lot more time. This is something important to know and practice because it allows Cap to very quickly transition from fighting to escaping with no downtime, reducing the amount of time Cap is damaged once you decide to get out. If you are escaping into a room with a low doorway or a ceiling, super jumping is a fantastic way to avoid shots, especially if the opponents are on the other side of the doorway. The doorway will block line of sight whenever you are in the air and therefore will help you to escape. Last thing to always keep in mind is that Cap's left shift is very loud for players on the other team. Every step makes a squeaking noise and alerts the other team to where you are. Because of this, once you get closer to another team, it could be a good idea to walk normally so they don't start shooting at you before you even engage the fight. This will maximize your uptime and therefore the value you are producing. Next movement ability I want to cover is your F or your shield bash. Again, I'm not sure what button this is on the different consoles, but the shield bash is pretty self-explanatory. Shield bash and sprint are the only abilities that seamlessly work while holding Cap's shield up, so shield bash is unique in that it is a burst movement option that can still be protected by Cap's shield. Burst movement option means it's a quick burst of speed. In addition to that, shield bash is your least predictable movement tool because it's the quickest activation, instant, and can be used in any direction immediately without jumping. You need to practice shielding or fighting in one direction and then flicking left, right, or behind and using shield bash as a tool to escape. You can use this to reposition while holding the shield the entire time, meaning you can give yourself backwards distance while only dropping your shield for a moment as the dash goes. Once you're through that dash, turn back around and look at who's shooting at you. There'll only be like half a second where they can get a bullet in, which is not very much time. The most important part of shield bash is that it completely ignores and kills any momentum that you may have before using the ability, both vertically and horizontally. Whether you're going fast, slow, up, or down, Shield Bash will do the exact same thing every time, and afterwards you won't have any momentum. And your momentum beforehand does not affect Shield Bash. This makes it very consistent, but it also means it's important to consider its usage if momentum is working in your favor. To remember that momentum canceling with your Shield Bash is important, and having a feel for it can help you to maximize it in your favor instead of to hurt you. Here's an escape route that works because of vertical momentum canceling, and is faster than using a super jump, normal jump, or a combo of the two. One last consideration with Shield Bash is that Shield Bash allows Cap to reach higher ledges. This is because ledges and some slopes in the game are coded to where they cannot be stood on, but Shield Bash ignores this. If Cap Shield Bashes an unstandable area high enough, Cap will slide above the ledge or over the slippery area, causing him to climb it. This is easily the most important application of Cap's Shield Bash because it allows him to chase vertical escapes or unlock new escape routes for himself. Get a feel for this and find out where Cap can find value out of this tech. One that comes to mind is the Asgard Domination map I've shown, but there are many others that you want to instinctually know instead of having to think about. Shield Slam allows Cap to jump on a group of enemies, dealing a small amount of damage according to the reticle on his screen. The ability can only be used if Cap is a certain distance off the ground, so plan accordingly. This distance can be achieved by either super jumping or by jumping off of a ledge or a slope, or some high ground. Shield Slam is Cap's fastest ability in terms of movement speed. He moves lightning fast, and using shield or sprint does not move nearly as fast. However, I'll cover engaging in the fight in another video. For this one I want to focus on escaping, because it's a movement video. Remember bunny hopping from earlier? For the fastest escape possible, bunny hop while aiming at Cap's eye level height. This will automatically put the slam at its maximum distance, meaning you can escape a fight in an unpredictable and extremely fast movement pattern consistently. Once you land, hold your shield up until your supports have you back at full health. Something to consider about slam is that it is affected by overhanging ceilings and ledges, especially doorways. It is not guaranteed you will land where the reticle is. Because of this, you need to keep in mind the layout of where you are engaging or escaping. If you mess up your Shield Slam when you relied on it to escape, you will be taking a lot of unplanned damage, and a lot of the times you'll die as a result. The same problem will occur if you plan on escaping while Shield Slam and wait too long to super jump and activate it, because it requires a certain height. The activation is not immediate like Shield Bash is. Keep this in mind when you're planning your escape. This will take some getting used to, and again, this will improve if you play mindfully around the maps available in the game. There are a few more important movement tips that I want to share that are not specific on ability. The first one is if you combine Super Jump, Shield Bash, and Shield Slam, you get a massive amount of distance extremely quickly, and it even allows you to turn corners in the process. This is Cap's absolute best way to escape or move quickly if he has all of his cooldowns. On that note, remember that if you would like to use this, you won't have any movement options available for 10 seconds at least, leaving you extremely vulnerable if the escape does not completely work. If it does work, then there's no better way to run away. The second tip is that I recommend usually having either Shield Bash or Shield Slam ready at all times if the enemy team could possibly engage you. In most surprise and escape situations, if planned effectively, even one of these is enough to find heals or escape. Keeping an extra one also helps if you screw up the other ability, potentially allowing you to correct a mistake and still retreat to safely. Just how like we just talked about how ledges can get Shield Slam if that reduces your distance, and surprisingly you can use your bash to get away and make up for it. Hopefully this guide has provided you with a framework of understanding and a baseline of knowledge that will allow you to more easily practice Captain America's movement. I recommend taking these tips into a quick match and practicing movement patterns on different maps, incorporating ledges, doorways, slopes, and health packs. If you practice movement mindfully, you will see great results in survivability and uptime, which will provide a kind of value no other tank can in Marvel Rivals. Moving efficiently helps you to stay alive and make sure the enemy backline doesn't forget the taste of freedom. Thank you for watching. Wi-Fi DK Legend Productions.